All right, welcome back. I'm so excited to have you here today. We are continuing with our Best Year Ever series. And in our last video, we talked all about anchoring in your becoming. So we looked at all those multiple selves. We picked one that we are moving toward. And in this video, make sure you have all that information that you wrote down. And if you don't have it, pause the video. I will have something above my head so you can go back and watch that last video so you can use all that information in this video. So I'm excited. We're going to talk about the 13 environments and how to use that information about your anchoring in your becoming and more. So let's get to it. So as you probably already noticed, I put up a big old chart. We're going to start writing some things down. We're going to talk about the 13 environments, which these are just things that you need to look at in your life. And it doesn't really matter. Of course, this series is about the best year ever. But it could be at any time where you really want to reflect about what's going on in your life now and where you want to be. And that's really what we're going to look at. We're going to look at 13 different facets, 13 different areas as we do that. Then we're going to move in. I created a chart. And in that chart, we're going to start really kind of getting to the details of it and how we can make those changes. What we're actually, where we are, and what we're striving for. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. It's a lot to go through, so buckle up and let's go. All right, so we're going to look at our first item here. And I got my handy dandy Mr. Sketch, by the way. Smelling markers. I remember these from when I was a child. All right, so we're going to do our first one. Revenue generation. So what really is revenue generation? So with revenue generation, this is really simply how you earn your money, right? How do you earn your money? That's all revenue generation is. So let's move on to our next one. These are all the different ideas you may have, right? And all the ideas that you allow to flow in around you. You need to be really careful about the ideas that you let into your awareness because they start to shape you. And I just have a really quick story about one of the ways I saw that this was shaping me, and I had to make a change. And again, this is something you really want to think about as you're trying to figure out where you are going in your life, right? When you start looking at that becoming. So with ideas, a long time ago, I was really into all the Law and Order series. Law and Order SVU, just name a Law and Order, I was on it, right? And all the NCIS. And all those ideas were permeating into my mind. And I started to get really afraid, right? I was very suspicious of people. I'm not normally a suspicious person, but I was very suspicious of everyone around me, of motives, of being out after dark, like of all the things. Because of those ideas, I was letting permeate my mind. And I realized that, frankly, I started to think of people as other. Those other people, those scary people, and profiling people, like the whole 9 yards. I was like, oh, whoops, this is not me. These are the ideas I'm letting permeate my surroundings. These are ideas I'm letting get into my head that are not good. So I really caution you to think about the ideas you're letting be in your everyday. All right, let's keep going. And we're gonna go to our next one. Core family. So your core family is probably really the same as like in sociology, social work, we call it nuclear family. Like those people right around you, right? So whoever your nuclear family is, that's your core family here. All right, now we're going to go to our next step down here. Your friends. I like to think of friends as chosen family. These are the people that you call out to when you're in trouble or when you need to laugh, when you need to hang out, the people you invite to a party, when you just want that close-knit group. These are your friends. If you have like a girl gang or a wolf pack, these are those people. Those close-knit friends that you know that you can rely on. That's who we're thinking about in this group. Let's get our next one. Self-care. So what are you doing on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis, quarterly, whatever it is, that you're taking care of you? Are you going for walks? Are you taking baths? Are you getting massages? Are you going out with your friends? Like, what is it that you need to do for self-care? You know, one of the things it was a while ago, my daughter was going through puberty, and I saw this book called The Care and Keeping of You, or something like that. And so when I think of self-care, I think about the care and keeping of Africa. What keeps my beautiful essence alive? I mean, is that doing yoga every day and meditation? Is it having a morning routine and evening routine? Like, what is it for you? What is that care and keeping of you, your beautiful essence? That's what you want to look at here in self-care. So let's look at our next steps. Service. Our next steps is service. So what do we mean here with service? Well, how are you giving back? Right? Are you paying it forward? Do you actually go out and volunteer with an organization to help others? Do you give money? Like, what are those things where you know that you are giving back to the community, and what should they look like for you? All right, so we've got a few more. Like I said, there's 13 of these. So let's keep going. And we'll continue. All right, so I like to think of this as your legacy. What kind of legacy are you wanting to leave? That's what's going to happen with impact. So it could just be you were the person who broke some generational issues in your family. It could be that you developed the first XYZ that changed the world. Like, I don't know what your impact's going to be, but you do, because you did that becoming. You've anchored in your becoming, so you know what impact that you're going for here. All right, let's continue on. We've got network. So network is everyone that you have ever met. That's what your network is. So notice that's different from friends and core family. Your network's everyone you've ever met, so everyone you come in contact with and will come in contact with. And then it narrows a bit more with those people that you really rely on, your friends, and then to your core family. Let's go to the next one. Surroundings. So with our surroundings, it's everything around us, right? There's this thing in coaching, the environment always wins. So you want to set up a winning environment in every way that you can. Because the environment itself, the things we have around us, places we live, the places we go, they all influence us, just like we were talking about earlier with ideas influencing us. So your surroundings, the people you surround yourself with, all those things, they influence you. So I don't know that many people realize that things around them really influence them. So in my office, when I redid my office, I picked the color, I picked the decor, I had my daughter do a painting that I wanted. I did everything to really support myself in my work in my office. I was thinking of another time about surroundings. And this is gonna, people always say when you clean and you declutter, you feel so much better and lighter, and that is absolutely true. One time I call it a magic wand moment. It was a challenge to go clean up something in your everyday life. And I was in the kitchen, I was doing dishes, and I looked out the window, and there was this little ledge outside the window. It just had random stuff on it. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna go and clean this stuff off the ledge. And while I was out there, I decided I was going to clean the outside of the window and the screen and the whole 9 yards. And then I went back in and I kind of puttered around, had to go do dishes again. So I went there and did dishes and I looked out the window. It was as if I was seeing my backyard for the very first time. All I did was declutter and clean one little area. And it made all the difference in my experience down in my backyard and doing dishes everything. It brightened my day on a daily basis, keeping it clean and decluttered. So definitely take a look at your surroundings. What can you do to make yourself feel better? Gosh, I'm just full of examples right now. Another thing that I do and I learned to do every day was make my bed, which I thought was really silly when I was younger. But when I got older, one day I made my bed after I got up. Came back to my room later and it felt pretty good. I realized my mood from when I did and didn't make my bed after I got up. It just, even though I don't see it all day, there's something in the back of my mind that makes it feel more luxurious. I guess it's all those times in hotels I love so much. All right, let's move on to our next S. Your connection with the divine, with God. Whatever you want to call the divine for you, this is all about that connection. Not necessarily in a 3D way, but really in a fifth dimensional plane way, where you're really, it's not about our 5 senses, it is about that 6th sense. It is about that really mystical connection. That's what I'm talking about here with spirituality. All right, we are starting to wrap up. This isn't our last letter, but we're getting close. Let's go with our B, body. Right, so we started talking about self-care, and this is even more poignant. What are you doing with your body? I mentioned under self-care, I think I mentioned exercise. Definitely exercise your body. Are you drinking enough water? Are you eating the right things for you, which is a little bit different for everybody, right? So make sure you're doing all the things where you're taking care of this vehicle, right? Your body that gets you around everywhere. What are the things that you need to do? That's what we're going to talk about here with body. I told you we're almost done, but we're not quite done. We have a few more because we're getting to 30. Now we're not going to be able to see everything, but we've got 2 more left out of the 13 before we start moving into the chart. So let's get to it. All right, we're really in a technological phase, and I say that as if technology hasn't been around since the dawn of time. We just don't see it as very technological now because we know how to make wheels, but back then it was a big deal. So, but take a look at your technological environment. You know, a lot of us always roll around with their cell phones or an iPad. Look at those things around you. Maybe you have smart lights or things where you can unlock the door without you being home. All of those things that you consider technology. Take a look at them. Take a look at their impact in your life. Last but certainly not least, kind of starting back to where we began with revenue generation, we're here with finance. So I spelled something wrong too. I was like, wait, that looks wrong. Finances. With F-I-N, not F-I-A. Okay, finances. Right, this is everything having to do with money. This is also your feelings and attitude about money. Right, we all have like maybe these presuppositions. Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work hard to make money. People who have money are evil. Like all of these things we work through, and that's going to be under finances. So these are the 13 environments that you're going to work through. I hope that you've written them down. If not, you can go back and rewatch this part of the video to write them down before we go to the next part and really start narrowing down, really start looking at each one. So if you like what you're seeing so far, make sure to give this video a big old thumbs up and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications because there's more coming in this series on your best year ever. But for now, we're going to move on to the chart. So we have our chart here. We've got the environment, current and future, feel and want. And putting that away, and I want to take a moment to go over each one of these so you have an idea what's going to go in them. So environment. Obviously, you're going to pick from the 13 environments. In fact, if you have a paper right now, you can just write them all down because we're going to do stuff in each column with each one. So we have the environment, and then we have the column for current and future. So I have current / future. We're going to use some numbers here. We're going to be on a scale from 1 to 10. So current is how you feel right now. right, about each one of the environments. So let's say, for instance, impact. How do you feel about your ability to make an impact right now on a scale from 1 to 10? And then for future, you're going to lean into your becoming, right? That's why I asked you to have that information available. And from that future self, where do they see themselves on a scale from 1 to 10 on impact? All right, so keep going. We have feel. Again, as your future self, how does it feel to be where it is they are? Right? So you definitely have to lean into your becoming there and say, this is how it feels when I'm at X number in the future, right? As they are at that moment, as where you want to be. Okay, and we have want. And want, you're just gonna, well, I should say this. For feel, we're just gonna write down like one word. Want, you might write down a couple of words or key phrases that'll let you know when you get there, like, what do you want? What do you see that's happening at that time? So I want to give some examples because I think examples make filling out things like this way easier. So I'm just going to pick 3 environments, and the first one to pick is spirituality. So I'm going to write that environment down. And I think I spelled it correctly this time. And I'm going to write down how I feel right now. On a scale from 1 to 10, how do I feel about where I am spiritually on my spiritual walk? So now I'm going to lean into my future self. And I've done this chart earlier, so I've already done the meditation piece of this. I'm leaning into my future self, and I'm going to decide where is it that she is. And when I looked, I said she was at a 10. I really liked where I saw my future self. So while I was there, I asked, how do I feel as my future self at this 10? How do I feel with spirituality? And I realized I felt aligned. What are some things going on around me as my future self that I would want now, right? So there's those things I'm moving toward, and maybe even things I can start doing. And one thing I realized, it was just this feeling of a deeper connection. To fill out the chart, I'm going to give you a couple more examples in the way that I actually fill out the chart. So the next example is for friends and then for self-care. So I would write them down. And again, if you've already written them in the chart in order of how we did them, that's fine. You just write them down. And then after I've written all of them down, then I go through it and I give the current number. So this is how I actually fill out the chart. So right now I'd say current number for friends, current number for self-care. And I would do that all the way down the chart. Then I would go in either to a meditation, or I would read back through my notes about my becoming so I can really get into that headspace and begin to answer the rest of the chart. Again, going down one by one. So I go with friends, and I would ask myself, what does my future self feel like with friends? Where do they feel like they're at? They feel like they're at an 8. Okay, so how do they feel with their friends? And what do they want? Or what is it that they have that I would want? Okay? Says chillaxed. In Denwood, I felt like I had a girl gang. We went on vacations a lot. We went visiting each other a lot. It was a lot of fun. So those are some of the key words I wrote under want. They give me some concrete things to move towards so I can feel chillaxed. All right, we're going to do this one more time, one more example with the self-care. So 5, leaned in, got to a 9. Again, asking my future self, how does it feel? What are some concrete steps to get there? What do I want, right? So it felt pampered. Really, really pampered. So what is it? Some concrete things I can do. What are some of those things I would want that would let me know it's on the way there? Definitely routines. I saw the morning routine. I saw the evening routine. I saw the routine of this going away by myself every quarter. That was really big in the life of my future self. That idea of care and keeping. I knew what helped me be at my best, right? And that's so important that you know what helps you be at your best, not just for yourself. But the thing is, you can't give from an empty well. So you do need to be at your best. The self-care becomes so important so that you can really pour into other people, whether they be friends, family, clients, whatever, right? So that becomes really important, having that care and keeping so locked in. And that's one of the things that I saw when I really leaned into my future self. So in our next video, and I sure hope all this was very helpful for you, I really encourage you to make this chart and go through each area, okay? Because in our next video, we're going to talk about, just because you know where you are now and where you want to be, doesn't mean there aren't some blocks. So we're going to talk about how to move through those blocks in the next video. We're going to talk about getting your significant other on board, which sometimes can be a little trying, whether it's significant other, friends, family, whoever it is that you really lean on. Sometimes they're not quite on board with these changes, because change means that the way you interact with them, it's going to be a little different. And sometimes people aren't so hip to that. All right. And we're going to talk about more. This is all about moving you forward to create the future that you want. So we're going to be doing that in the next video. I'm super excited about it, and I can't wait to see you there. So until then, peace, joy, love to you.